Morning guys, here's what I got going here. I'm starting to block sand this deck lid out. I brought my base coat, which is waterborne. I've got some hardener for the clear coat all metered out, and I've got my clear coat. Don't know if I'll be spraying today or not. This will be an interesting test, spraying waterborne base coat in here. I would think it would be probably a little easier to spray in here. Just take a lot longer to dry. I'll try some techniques drying it. I got a little cleaning up in here first though. It was nice being able to just print out what I used. This includes what I did on the wing and louvers. I'm at 158.43 in supplies so far. This includes if this was a car that I had masked up and I'd used the sandpaper at the shop and everything else, it would have been about that. I believe this includes the markup too. And I also had two tiny imperfections, and instead of redoing the bodywork and all of that, they're very minor. Use a product like this. It's just a spot putty for real small stuff. It's not catalyzed. It will shrink in areas where it's noticeable, but it's really good for when you're starting to block out and you see a little hole, little pinhole or something. Really good to use for that. Yeah, so I'm just going to take my time and I'm cutting this with 320 first. I'm going to go back over it with 400 to get the 320 scratch out. And then I'm going to take my time wet sanding with 600. And then I'll be pretty much, I'm going to get it outside, wash it real good, hose it off, because there's still a little bit of black beauty in here that didn't blow out all the way. And I don't want that getting onto my final paint. It does not buff out. These darker primers are pretty good. Or if you make a few swipes, you can see your highs and lows. It's kind of like a self-guide coating deal. I'm going to do most of this with a block. When I get over to this area that's hidden under the wing, where the bodywork still isn't perfect, I'm going to start with a block, but then I'm going to go by hand after, because obviously I'll blow through all over the place, and I don't want to do that. And just going to keep doing this crosshatch pattern. I should have a bigger block, but this is the one I have here right now. This will be fine. You can kind of see everything that's going on. Most of this is just a simple sand. My little garage, I was watching you sand some waterborne base coat this morning. I don't know, I think you saw one of my older videos. I tried this product. It's called Rollo, I think, foamed Norton P1000 grit, and this stuff works really sweet on base coat. We ordered a box. They sent us this huge box. It's like a lifetime supply. I'd see if a jobber can just cut you out of, just sell you a few sheets to try it. Works pretty good on base coat. I've never seen anything work as good, especially on the waterborne. Greg Porter, that Greaserama video series you're doing is just awesome. Those cars are incredible. Not too many of the rat rods around here. I've seen some, but not most of them aren't really out of this area. I agree with your comments on the Corvettes. I work on a lot of them. They look like a great car to drive, but it's just yeah, they're always perfect, and they all kind of look the same. You got to spend a lot of money to get one that's kind of set apart from the rest on those. A buddy of mine belonged to the Corvette club in the area, and he had like a 70s Vet, and he cut a hole in the hood, he put a blower in it, really built the engine up, and the Corvette club guys turned their backs on him. They're like, well, you just ruined that car, and so he didn't hang out with them anymore. And I guess he was at a car show, I think it was last year or the year before, and he walked by all the Vets, and he just kind of said loud to his friends, he's like, I wonder what these guys talk about, how they just applied a new wax. And Yehubin 66 was talking about a nasty wreck he got in, hitting some black ice. reminded me of, some reason it reminded me of when we ran a tow company out of the shop years ago. We were on 5-week rotation with some other tow companies. We did police calls, so we get late night calls, and you never knew what you were getting sent to. And one night I showed up to it was downtown, and there was a truck that hit a pole and broke up. The bed and the frame were one way, the engine was somewhere else, the cab was somewhere else. I think the driver got thrown out, but he was actually okay. Looking at the truck close up, one of the firemen pointed out the entire body was really rusted bad, and somebody had fabricated, basically spliced it onto the frame with decking boards and sheetrock screws, and this truck just disintegrated. Putting a V8 in an S10 pickup that's held together with decking boards and sheetrock screws, that didn't work out so well for the guy, especially when he decided to tear down the road and go through a telephone pole with it. Oh man. And I noticed HPR is back. Hope you stay this time, buddy. Putting those ground effects on a Impala like that, those things, I've never had them fit right. They always need major modifications and a lot of extra work, but some kits look pretty good when they're done. Most of them don't though. Most of them kind of don't look that good. Fiberglass. It's really hard to find the good quality ones are pretty expensive too. Well guys, I got a lot of sanding to do. I'm going to try and spray this today. I don't know if that's going to happen. It's kind of a test to see how waterborne works for me at home. I'm thinking it's be pretty cool because neighbors won't even notice it. It's waterborne. It doesn't smell anywhere near as bad as base coat. It's solvent base. And the clear coat's just 2 coats on a part, and that's not a bad, it's not really that noticeable either, so we'll see how it goes. So I did my initial cut with 320. You just want to see it nice and smooth. I'm trying not to hit the edges. I don't want to expose any bare metal or blow through as much as I can. I don't have any more primer to lock any blown through edges down with, and base coat has water in it, so that's the last thing you want sitting on bare steel. So I'm going real careful. The majority of this, I can see like a little area where I had sandblasted, and I got most of that smoothed out, but I'm going to leave a little bit because I still got to go with 400 and 600 wet, and I started to blow through here, and that's shiny paint showing underneath, so I'm going to back off from there. Over here where that warped area was, I lightly hit it with the block, and that's it. I'm going to go back over by hand now just to make it nice and smooth, because that wing the base kind of goes like this, so a lot of that's covered, thankfully. And oh yeah, this will be one of the last videos for a little bit because I don't even know how to explain what I got coming up. But I'll be back within a week or so. Oldest daughter sprung a little news on me and the wife, and I don't even know where to go with it. It's nothing bad, but it just requires us to do some stuff we weren't planning on doing with money we didn't really have, so I'll fill you guys in as that goes. Pretty interesting. Only me. This stuff only happens to me. Alright, we're down to 400 grit here, and the areas where there was just 1 coat, it's just starting to go through, so we're just going to have just enough left to get the 600 wet done. But I almost forgot, I got to remake that hole on this side, and I already marked it out. So here's what I'm going to do. I took a piece of paper, just put it on these body lines, and I just took a pencil and marked out the edge, cut it out with a razor, made that little hole mark, and all I'm doing is transferring it over to here, doing a little flip. I don't have the wing at the house right now, so I can't line that up, so I'm just going to go like this. I flipped it over, transferred my mark, and I'm going to take a couple of measurements as best as I can the way that sits, and I'm going to drill that out. And then I'll do my final sand, and I have a little bit of epoxy left, which isn't cured yet, and I'm going to I'm just going to dab the edges where I drill, because I don't want any bare steel, especially in that area. I want that all well protected. And how's the chair ride doing? Here's what I did last night. I carefully took this, I laid down a bunch of material on the floor, and I carefully just maneuvered this down upside down so I could see if I can get this light to work. What I did was while this was upside down, I absolutely flooded that area up in there with epoxy on all those bad welds and everything and the overlap areas. Just soaked it with epoxy, and if I get a chance to hit it with some rubberized undercoating on top of that too, I'll do that also. The main thing is just rust corrosion protection, because that's the reason this deal started, and that's what I just want to seal that up as best as I can. What's unheard of around here on a Mustang this year is this area being spotless. Usually what happens is the wings, the little rubber seals go when they leak. Water gets in there when it rains, and it just sits right in this area. And if it's got nowhere to go, it just sits there and rusts, and these just blow out, and that's a lot harder to repair, to fix all in there, and it usually rusts up in here. What happened here was the wing was just, the outer part was just rubbing against the lid. You know, you get some little sand and grit in there, and it worked its way in and went through the paint, and it started to rust, and then the rust worked its way into the paint, and that's what caused this problem. So it rusted from the outside in. Usually your rust problems start from the inside out, but this is all it was actually undercoated at one point, which saved that. So I'm going to drill that out, do my 600 wet, and then I got to wash this down really good. Time to clean as best as I can in here now. I do have some filtration that I can put over that old fan and crack that window, but I'm almost not spraying enough to even bother. I can just spray, walk out of the room, and breathe. Really concentrated on blowing all in here. There was black beauty that just kept coming out of there. Pretty happy with the way it primed. This is actually better than I thought it was going to be in here. It's a little ripply in there where it's hidden, which is good. I got my hole drilled, and I got it all epoxy protected, and I'll probably put another coat on too, just to make sure. And I got some dust inside there I'm going to blow out with the air gun. I'm surprised the water didn't get to it. And I'm going to get this good and dry, get it all out of here with the air gun, clean my floor. Yeah, you don't want to open that up. And clean in here as best as I can, and I don't know, maybe later today I'll start dropping some base coat down. We'll see how it goes. Just a faster way to dust, really. That's be my major source of problems. I want this really blown out well. Alright, back in the garage. Surface is dirty again because I blew everything out of here that I possibly could. Huge source of dust, especially if you try and paint one of these with these still on, you know, the moldings on. You not only have to mask there, but you got to mask the other side to keep the overspray from blowing everywhere else onto your glass. But you get all that stuff, just years of little pieces of leaves or whatever. But while blowing out this the best I could, look what I exposed. Another area, the next area that would have started to be a problem. It's just into where I'll be able to see it too. So what I'm going to do, since my primers, I don't have any more of the black primer that I mixed up, the PPG stuff, and my etch primer dried up, because I used all of that. I'm going to feather that out with some 180, and I'm just going to take the epoxy that I just used, because that's still nice and loose from when I mixed it yesterday. And I'm going to coat that. I'm going to give it some bite to stick to. That epoxy in big metal areas likes an etch primer first, but it will stick to metal with a good mechanical bond. So a good 180 scratch. And the battery in the camera is going to die. So I'm going to fix that. And I might roll my 2-inch out so it seals up to here. But this battery's about to die. We'll get into that later.